On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Yes, follow the money. Paulie and JJ, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Big program coming up. Always live downtown in Circa, where all the fun goes on. Adam Aronson, voice of Philly, coming up 10 minutes on the big news. Brian Geltzeiler. Also, we'll talk some college football with Tim Murray and Chris Vanini. JJ, I can't believe it. I'm stunned. On the 24th day of indecision, in what's going to be his 24th year, not a 1 year, but a 2-year deal to go to Philly. The King goes to Philadelphia. Kenny Pickett makes more money the upcoming season than LeBron James. He was 8.9% on Kelce. He was 12-1 at DraftKings. The only person I heard that had this and was strong on it was Joe House, that he would wind up in Philadelphia. I don't understand where all the Golden State money was coming from. They still remain the third choice at DraftKings, and Kelce throughout, even though not once, not twice, but 3 times, Shams said they were out and were not in the running to get LeBron. He goes to Philadelphia, and the big movement now, it was only about 10 minutes, but they were as low as plus 250 to win the East at DraftKings. They're now plus 340 to win the East, 8-9-1 to win the title, 2-1 to win the division behind the champs, the Knicks. And a perfect guy to talk to, Mr. New Yorker, what you think is they're gunning. And Brad Stevens opened the door. The ridiculous trade. You blow a 3-1 series lead to your rival, then you trade Brown. They were not even on LeBron's radar. You get Brown July 1st. That's a big reason why he goes to Philadelphia today in a stunning move.
No question about it. First of all, Paulie, I love the fact that I'm here with you and we finally have the news once and for all. When I got the notification on Twitter, I had to do a double take. I had to make sure I didn't get duped because there are so many of these fake accounts out there. I'm basically expecting the worst. And my first reaction is, holy smokes, not Cleveland, not Miami, Philly. But if you peel back the layers here, and if you try to figure out why Philadelphia and LeBron James is going to end up being a match made in heaven for the next 2 years, it's pretty simple. Because to me, Paulie, out of these 4 destinations, Philadelphia gives him the best chance to win. That's just the reality of the situation. Cleveland has a bunch of losing players on their team, and there are no relationships between LeBron James and Donovan Mitchell. Then you look at the Miami situation. Where is the shooting coming from? LeBron needs shooters alongside Giannis to go and have success. Miami not exactly in a position to go and get them because, hey, they just gave up so much to get Giannis to begin with. And then there was this fantasy of, LeBron and Steph joining forces in Golden State. The problem with that is that team doesn't have a prayer of taking down Oklahoma City or taking down Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. So I think LeBron said, hey, minimum money. I have a relationship with Maxey because he's a clutch guy and he's a stud. Edgecombe, really nice young player. They go and add Jaylen Brown. And I haven't even mentioned Joel Embiid, who now is a luxury for this basketball team. Listen, they're going to be really, really good. They're going to be super versatile. They're going to be outstanding defensively. That said, though, as somebody that lives here in the Big Apple, Paulie, I am relishing the possibility of the defending champs, my beloved New York Knicks, who took care of me a couple of months ago with a 15-1 ticket. Nothing would make me, Paulie Howard, than sending LeBron James into the retirement home a loser.
Yep.
And the city loser after hopefully my Knicks can go and take them down. And I'm telling you right now, if they match up in a 7-game series, I'll take the champs any day of the week and twice again on Sunday.
It's going to be a tough fit because you got 4 big guys. Now you look and 4 of the 5 guys averaged 21 a game last year, and then you got Edgecombe with 16 a game. But how Brown wants all his shots. There's only one basketball. Embiid, listen, there's no way he's going to last 3 or 4 series. He can't do it. He's played 57 games the last 2 years. I say under 51.5 wins. It's going to take a while to get going and figure this out as well. Just look what we went through in L.A. when LeBron was the 3rd option and how long that took. Now, once they figured it out in February, it was great before Reeves and Luka got hurt. So I got concerns about only one basketball, and I would say they're going to play up-tempo, though, too, because these guys are fantastic in transition. That's one thing I would look at. Also, Chris Vanini, who's coming on, pointed this out. Also, thanks to the listener who sent this in on X, you only have 4 players in history that have won a title with 3 different teams. LeBron, Sally, Danny Green, and Ori. And LeBron would be the only player in history to do it 4 titles, 4 different teams. The other thing, can he pull this off? He's probably going to live in New York or Jersey and do the helicopter thing.
It is crazy to think about, but these are first world problems for me and you. Yeah. I mean, we can't have the helicopter on standby. Maybe you can to go from Vegas to wherever it's taken you over the course of the weekend. I know most certainly my car is going to have to do driving around New York City. But it is feasible, though, Paulie. That's the thing. Like, I made the trip to Philadelphia last week for the All-Star game, and I'm taking Amtrak, and I'm down there in an hour and 15 minutes. So if LeBron James wants to live in, like, northern New Jersey, where he's, like, equidistant between Philly and New York, and you're throwing in helicopters, and, the golf has been a big theme of mine. LeBron is going to want to be set up on a bunch of these really, really nice golf courses. I mean, between what they have in Philly with Lower Merion and whatnot, what they have in Jersey where you can find 10 zillion beautiful places from Liberty National to Bayonne to Due Process to Bedminster, wherever. He can play wherever the hell he wants at the best of the best golf courses and have New York in his back pocket, Philly in that roster. And it does only reiterate the point. Paulie, if the Knicks had lost this series to the San Antonio Spurs, I think we would have been living in a world where LeBron James was a New York Knick. Yes. However, LeBron is smart enough to realize this, and the Knicks were smart enough to realize this. LeBron going to the Knicks now would have been lose-lose for both parties, because for LeBron, if he wins, it's, you hopped on a championship team, you took the easy way out again, He can take a lot of hate for that. If he went to the Knicks and they didn't win, Paulie, over the next 2 years, it doesn't matter if it's Karl Anthony Towns' fault or Jalen Brunson diminishes, whatever it might be. People would have looked around New York City and they would have stared at LeBron James and they would have said, hey, guess what, buddy boy? You came to a championship team and the next 2 years they didn't win a championship. That's on you. Philly doesn't have that. Philly has not been in the NBA Finals since the days of Allen Iverson. Yeah. It is a basketball city searching for relevance. Paulie, in the playoffs last year, do you remember watching Game 3 and Game 4, Knicks Sixers? Half the building, if not more than half the building, was rooting for the New York Knicks. So I think Philly, by bringing LeBron, they're trying to win a championship, but they're trying to rediscover an edge to a basketball city that's kind of fallen in the abyss compared to where the Eagles are and where the Phillies are.
Yeah, totally agree. You're right. I didn't know how bad it was. Haven't won a title since 83. Haven't been in the finals since 01. Have one division title since 2002. Embiid's never made a conference final. So he can come in right now and save the day and be a hero. They were 100-1 to get Jaylen Brown. They were 30-1 what they opened at to get LeBron. A couple other things here, too. You are right. He was going to be a Knick if they didn't win the title. He was going to be a Cav if they would have acquired Kyrie, or, if, to my opinion, if they didn't trade Garland for Harden, or if they would have traded Mobley. Mobley better be a Hall of Famer. because they could have traded Mobley and acquired Brown and then added LeBron as well. And I feel for my guys in Cleveland who were so strong on this, they thought it was a done deal, and it didn't happen. Full marks to his camp that they can keep a secret, airtight what they did, that nobody had this, and he was 8.9% today to go to the Sixers. But also on Brad Stevens, too, that you made Philly a contender and maybe better than you are now with how you looked at Jaylen Brown and how you made this trade and helped them out because he wasn't going to Philly until they got Brown, and now they have all this star power in Philly as well. So bad job by Stevens, bad job by Altman and the Cavs for moves they made. They're down to like 10-11-1 now. Oh, I don't know what moves maybe they can trade Allen, but this is a bad offseason for the Cavs, considering what it looked like against the Knicks in the conference finals, and now you couldn't get LeBron to come home as well. But this also adds a ton of intrigue in the East, and you said it as well. 76ers at the Knicks on ring night to start the season. Sign me up.
Oh, you can book it right now. And you look at that odds board. Philly has moved quite a bit to 9-1. The Celtics have moved down. To me, the big two losers of this offseason, the Boston Celtics losing Jaylen Brown and bringing in Paul George, I'm sorry, does absolutely nothing for me. The other one I would look at, what has Detroit and Cleveland done to make their teams better? Yeah. I mean, Detroit, I thought they were going to have a very active offseason after being the 1 seed. They've done nothing. Cleveland misses out on LeBron James. They have done nothing. And remember I said this, Paulie. If Tyrese Halliburton can get back to where he was 2 years ago, there is unbelievable value with the Indiana Pacers at 40-1. Now, I know why it's priced at 40-1. It's priced that way because the East is a lot better, and there are questions about how he's going to look coming back from that injury. But with that coach, they match up really well with the New York Knicks. That's the price that's staring me in the face saying, man, I want action on that 40-1.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on the Pacers. Great job by Bob Myers with the 76ers. He went on the Rich Paul podcast, and I guess there were breadcrumbs there as well when LeBron at the Fanatics convention did the trust the process line as well, calling it his last decision, 2-year, $8 million deal to go to Philadelphia, and really helps the legacy if he brings them a championship and becomes the only player, 4 titles, 4 different cities. We go to Philly. Adam Aronson coming up next, what he thinks of the move and if they are title contenders coming up next. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets. On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Back at it, baby. What a way to go into the weekend. The LeBron news to kickstart everything. Fun show coming up. Eclectic mix. Little NBA and a ton of futures, college and the NFL. And we're getting close. August 6th, Hall of Fame game. And that means Kramer time. It's our guys' sports gambling podcast at Kramer Centric on X on the Progressive guest line. He got me into this NFL slot machine, which we'll do a deep dive the next time he's in studio. He loves it. He joins us now to go over some futures in the NFL. Kramer, good to see you, my friend, as always.
Don't out me as a slot guy. It's a secret. No, it is funny. Me 10 years ago would have smacked me in the face today for all the slot play that I have.
Yeah, but it's a fun game, no doubt. And the gal on a $3 bet across the street at the gate with the Browns, won $140,000. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let's start with the Falcons to win the division.
Isn't this the game every year? You look at the NFC South, you realize no one knows anything.
Yeah.
And you look at the long shot, and so you start there. And man, I am not someone who fancies themselves a Tua supporter. I am not historically a Stefanski guy, but I look at this situation and I wonder, is this the best quarterback situation that Stefanski's had to work with? Is this maybe the best offensive situation that Stefanski's had to work with? Is this maybe the best situation that Tua has had, considering he's had Waddle and Hill and some of these dynamic playmakers down there? He's going to be playing most of these games inside. And yeah, I look around the division and I understand the hype for the Saints. I'm not all the way there. I think the Panthers, we're already seeing it with injuries, have a lower floor than people are giving them credit for. And the Bucs are the Bucs. So that's probably where I see the most competition. But I think this Falcons team, which was pretty scrappy last year, we remember, plus 425 feels disrespectful. And I think in general, you'd probably be doing pretty good if you took a long shot, or at least a long shot position in this division. Perhaps it's a Kalshi play or a prediction market because you can get out of it a little easier.
All right, Ryan, I get the case. I understand it. Now I got to give you some background here. I've watched every game Tua's played. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I was like the biggest Tua supporter you can find on planet Earth. I defended the guy to the ends of the earth. He looked absolutely cooked last year. Cooked. Like could not move, could not throw, could not play. I get Stefanski hasn't had quarterbacks. I get your point about the NFC South. It's a weird division. Nobody's any good. I like the Saints more than most. Why Tua though? Why all of a sudden now is Tua going to revert back to the guy he was with the hip, the arm, the lack of mobility? And did I mention if he gets concussed, he's done for?
The concussion angle is fair. That's always going to be fair. We can use that for a lot of players. Chris Olave is another one. I would say the reason I'm willing to be more optimistic is I think this team's going to have a pretty good offensive line, a pretty good run game, maybe the best run game. And I think Tua has been his best when he's been able to work some of that traditional play action. Now, I'm with you. The reason the numbers are long shot in the division plus 425 is because of Tua. The reason, and I'll jump ahead, Paulie, but the reason you can get Tua to lead the league in passing yards at 100-1 is because of what he's looked like. Now, this is maybe more of a bet on the structure of the offense and everything else around him, because we've seen quarterbacks get elevated with this type of running game before. But yeah, like I said, I was borderline a Tua hater. We do a preview series on the Sports Gambling Podcast where we talk about every team, and I did not expect to be high on the Falcons this year, but I do like those tail outcomes. I like the tail end of what this offense could be if things do hit. Now, the other end of that tail is pretty low. It's a pretty low floor because Tua and Penix might not be it collectively. And so I see the downside of it, but I also see the upside. And I think whether it's the division price, Tua's passing yards, lots of markets are being priced kind of more for the downside than the upside.
Make sure you send in your tickets to our guy Luke too every Tuesday with the tip jar with the pizzeria, because you get after it and you have some creative stuff. So Adam Chernoff sent in Brock Bowers' most touchdowns receiving in the first 3 weeks of the season. Where did you find this Genty prop? Tell us about this at a big price.
So shout out to the Green Book. DK they're calling those first 3 week, I believe, fast futures.
Okay.
They also have kind of these markets next player to record. And so they have it across passing yards. I believe it's like 400, something a little ridiculous, receiving yards, 150, rushing yards, 150. And I love these kinds of markets because again, you're playing kind of to these tail outcomes. And so it gives you the opportunity, much like first touchdowns, honestly, Paulie, to attack a longer price. And in this market, when I took this, it was actually 50-1 for Genty to have the first 150-yard game of the season. It's now 40-1. They play the Dolphins week 1. This is kind of a very boxed in angle here. I think the Dolphins, and no disrespect, JJ, I think they might be pretty bad this year. That dead cap situation, something we've never seen before.
None taken. I don't disagree.
Defense could be thin. Yeah. So what if this Raiders team comes out with a strong week 1 performance? They get out with a lead. I think there's going to be a lot of run game in their future. And so the idea that Genty pops week 1 and it's 40-1 feels a little bit mispriced to me.
Yep. You explained it beautifully. It's under Fast Futures, and they have passing, rushing, and receiving. And that's where you can find it on the DK app. How about, I like this too. Last team to get a win, Arizona Cardinals.
I'm not usually chalky with like fewest wins and things like that, but this Arizona team, I mean, pick your choice on how you want to attack them, whether it's the corny coach angle again, it's the quarterback situation, Minshew taking all the snaps with the ones, or it's the low floor of the defense, or just look at the look ahead lines. They are not expected to be dogs of shorter than a touchdown until week 12. They don't have a bye until week 14. I love them to be the last winless team. I think the current price is maybe plus 240, plus 250. I just don't, there's a lot of bad teams, but all of those other bad teams have short kind of, short dog, maybe an advantageous spot early in the season. This Arizona team is going to go a long time before they're a dog of less than a touchdown. And there's still a dog of 4.5 points in that game against the Commanders week 12. So I love this angle. I think it's pretty clear what the Arizona Cardinals are doing, and that's positioning for a quarterback next year. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, this is one of my favorite kind of chalkier season long bets, also because every week teams fall off. So this isn't quite a least wins for the season. You got to tie your money up for the whole season. I expect this one to be cleared out by week 7 for sure. And so, yeah, I love the Cardinals to be the last winless team.
Totally agree. I'm so glad you brought this to our attention because I'm very bullish on this guy too, Rye. I think Abdul Carter in his second year is going to look like a completely different player. If you look at the advanced metrics, his rush rate was really, really good. He just couldn't seal the deal on a bunch of these sacks. Now you put him with some better coaching. There's no way in the world the Giant coaching is going to be worse than what it was a year ago. I think they're going to get a much different player. You want to ladder sacks. You even want to sprinkle a little defensive player of the year. I'm about all of it. We're in on a big Abdul Carter season.
Yeah, this is where fandom meets me liking a good long price in the summer. I've been hammering this since 75-1. I think you can still get most sacks at 80-1. The ceiling is so high. Like you mentioned, if you want to talk about fast pressures, number 1 in the NFL last year, not amongst rookies, amongst all players. You look at after Shane Bowen was fired and Charlie Bolin took over, he was number 2 to Myles Garrett in pressures, sacks, hits, and pressures, and a number of other pass rush stats. His pass rush win rate was top 10. He's basically top 10, top 11 in every metric across the entire league, but the sacks didn't come. Why? Well, sometimes sacks don't come home. Maybe Brian Burns got a bunch of extra sacks because it was cleanup duty. Yeah, as a fan, not a PhD in film, bro, but a fan who watches all the games, there were at least 6 or 7 intentional grounding / holding sacks out there as well. So again, pressures tend to regress. Sacks tend to regress towards pressures. I love the idea of a more aggressive position from Abdul Carter and the defense in general. And I'd even say this: when Shane Bowen got fired and Abdul Carter, we had the news about the meetings and not taking professional life professionally. He learned a lot at the end of that last season, and he credited Charlie Bolin, who was the one defensive staff member holdover that stayed with the team. I fully expect him to start reaching his potential. And last thing I'll say, that corny video that everyone's making fun of Harbaugh for saying New York Giants. I saw Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter sitting front and center there. So I expect leadership, maturity, everything to show up here. And I love the ceiling of Abdul Carter. Play it any way you want, but I'll tell you right now, I have a mortgage payment on him to win Defensive Player of the Year. So we will be a happy. I will be a happy camper if that comes home.
Are you over 7.5 wins?
I'd say this: if you're handicapping the Giants and you like the over 7.5 wins, you like the playoff price, you like the division price, just play Harbaugh to win Coach of the Year. He's in the pole position to start.
He is.
If he makes the playoffs, he's probably going to win. If he wins the division, he's probably going to win it. You can get that still at plus 750 roughly. So you're getting a better price. You might as well play it that way.
What's 1 minute left? How about this bomb? 125-1. Cousins to lead in interceptions.
Brady says he doesn't want him to play. The coaches have said they want him to learn as long as possible. Kirk Cousins messed around and almost led the league in interceptions in like 14 games a couple years ago. I'm willing to play this one. I think Cousins is going to play well enough. I think they're going to win enough games with running the ball and him being a good enough quarterback that can he average an interception a game while doing that. And maybe we get lucky and Mendoza never gets brought out because they win enough games. This price is way wrong for a guy who I think is going to be starting for at least the first 9 weeks of the season. And let's just hope he gets the rest of the season. Because if he's leading in the middle of the season, we can trade out of this position or we can have a fun ride.
Great job, my man. Can't wait to see you in studio. And thanks for this NFL slot game, which you love. And good creativity here and imagination. Do good research finding some of these props. Thank you for the time.
I got more all summer, Paulie.
I know you do. I know you do. There's a good MLB card today. We already have a game in action right now. The Brewers are playing a day game. They were huge favorites. They're losing 3-1 to the Rockies. Brian Geltzeiler, NBA Sirius Radio coming up next. The fit for LeBron and Philly. Should they be the second choice to win the East? Coming up on Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
A lot of baseball games starting in about half an hour. One-day game. Rockies surprising the Brewers 4-2 in the top of the seventh. Be good to catch up with Matt Eholt with the New York Post. Talk a variety of topics, and he's got a strong case for the Red Sox to keep rolling. He joins us on the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on X at Matt Eholt, E-H-A-L-T. Well, your reaction to LeBron going to Philly, and now they have the same odds to win the title as the Knicks at 9-1, win total 51.5. What'd you think of the surprising news today, sir?
Well, I'll admit that I thought it was going to be Cleveland or Miami. I mean, that's the way that all the the tea leaves have been reading. But to your point on the odds, I mean, it just seems an overreaction. This Philly team, for as much talent as they have, it's going to take so much time for these guys to figure out how to gel together. I mean, people have made the point that Jaylen Brown didn't like being, Robin to Tatum's Batman. What's he going to be now? He's going to be the third, the fourth option there. And just the thing with Philly is it feels like the same thing as last year. For as great as the talent is, can you tell me come second round, whenever that is, next May 14th, 3 p.m. Sunday, Knicks Sixers at the Garden, game one, Joel Embiid is going to be healthy and able to move out there. And I just don't understand believing that Joel Embiid, when you have the Knicks there at the same odds, who just showed what they can do, and realistically, the only team that's beaten the Knicks is the Pacers in the playoffs the last few years, right? And you're trusting that Embiid's going to be healthy. It just feels, I just feels a complete overreaction.
That's a great case, strong. And to your point, there's no way Embiid's going to last 4 rounds. If that's the case, 57 games in the last 2 years, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you're again, like if you want to tell me 1 through 5, 1 through 6 right now, you think that maybe the Sixers have a better 5 than the Knicks? Sure, maybe it's the best 5 in the Eastern Conference, but we saw this year you need to be able to have depth. And again, when your top player, when you don't know if he can be healthy enough to be out there, the Sixers just do not have the necessary depth. And again, like it's hard to think that you're going to trust that team, which is going to have to learn on the fly. And there's going to be a lot of egos on that team. I mean, Maxey is sensational. Brown is very good. Obviously, LeBron is still sensational at his age. Edgecombe is developing into a great talent. So, I mean, their talent from 1 to 5, and then, they got the Alabama kid this year. They draft. They have Simmons. They do have some players, but again, like so much of their ceiling is tied to one guy who just can't stay healthy. And like 9-1, that seems way too rich for my liking.
All right, easy. Let's do some baseball here. You've been all over the Red Sox over the last couple of weeks. They were dead to rights. They fired Alex Cora. The Yankees woke them up with that 4-game sweep, and then they go and rattle off, what was it, 14 in a row, 15 in a row? Who's keeping score? But that ended with the doubleheader they had against the Orioles. Now, full disclosure, Matty boy, Paulie and I bet in Toronto tonight. We like Toronto with Savage on the mound. The Blue Jays have played the Red Sox pretty darn well at Fenway Park over the last couple of years. But I'm seeing the Red Sox at the moment 9-1 to win the American League. Is that a bet you'd be willing to make?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, the reason that I think I like the Red Sox, and this is more of a thing of evaluating them against the other teams that are within the league, right? So let's start with in the American League. Obviously, the Yankees are the favorite right now. My problem with the Yankees is, can you tell me that come October 4th, Aaron Judge is going to be healthy and he's going to be effective? You're getting mixed signals on his health. You're getting he's progressing, but he's not doing things. The other element here is Giancarlo Stanton. Who knows if he plays again? There is nothing concrete about this guy, and as you've seen when he tries running, this Yankee lineup cannot win playoff series, multiple. Maybe they could beat the Royals in the first round like that year. I'm kidding. The Royals won't be in the playoffs, but you know what I mean. They could beat the White Sox or the Guardians. They're probably not beating the Rays or the Red Sox. You then look at the Rays, and my problem with them is, okay, so they're next. I mean, they got 550 odds. They're hitting Cedric Mullins in the cleanup spot. I have a hard time believing a team that has Cedric Mullins hitting cleanup is going to be able to last in a playoff series. And the other thing here is when you look at the Red Sox, now, yes, I'll concede this point. The Red Sox offense is hard to believe in. They're on an epic heater. But when you look at the pitching that they have, right, Sonny Gray has been sensational. Now, we don't even know if Crochet is going to pitch. He comes back, maybe. Ranger Suarez, I know he's injured right now, but you're looking at what they're getting out of guys like Tolle is pitching really well. Even this guy, Bennett, that they've come, who seemingly has come out of nowhere. The depth the Red Sox have with some of these pitchers and what they are able to do, and then you combine on top of that, you look at their bullpen. They have a great bullpen with Chapman. They have Whitlock. They have some of these guys. Again, I'm not making the case that I think there's some sensational lockout like, oh, my God. But if you're telling me the odds are getting the Yankees at plus 230 or the Red Sox at 9-1, I like that Red Sox value way better. Also because we've seen that the Red Sox can get in a home series with these teams, and they don't know. They just swept the Yankees and Rays in 4-game series. You've seen that these teams sometimes don't know how to play at Fenway in a short series. And I'm just saying, if you give me my odds of do I like the Yankees at 230 or the Rays versus the Red Sox at 9-1, I kind of think Boston with their pitching. I just think the other odds are a little. It's too much for me.
All the money, Paulie and JJ Viesen, the Sports Betting Network. Matt Edholt, our guest from the New York Post on the Progressive Guest Line. The Giants win total over 7.5 is the most popular bet at multiple sports books. What do you think of the Giants this year?
I think that the Giants, if you ask me, I think that they're going to be a improved team. I think they're going to be better coached. I would take the under on the Giants this year, and it's kind of for two reasons. One, it's a tough schedule this year. If you look at it, they have some really tough games. And, I mean, again, coming out of the gate, they could easily be 0-2 with their start, especially, week 2, they're going to run to a buzzsaw with the Rams in that game. It's a tough schedule. The problem I have with the Giants and the reason I'm not fully believing is, and it's the same thing what I just said with Aaron Judge. Can you tell me how effective Malik Neighbors is going to be this year? Because when you look beyond Malik Neighbors at the rest of this Giants offense, hard to know if Scatterbo can stay healthy. You saw last year Jackson Dart missed time. Sure, you're buying into Isaiah Likely, but he's got to prove himself that he can be a week in, week out steady contributor. You look at the rest of that receiving room. Darius Slayton, Odell Beckham, Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney. Who there is scaring an opposing defense? Now, if you can tell me Malik Neighbors is going to be his rookie year guy, but right now the evidence is against him that, you've had battling some injuries. He hasn't been as effective. And when you combine that with also the fact that the Giants are in a tough division where Philly is very good, Dallas has all the talent in the world, and if Commanders are healthy with Jaden Daniels, you can't just look at the Giants and say, like, for example, with the Patriots, where you can just say, well, they're going to beat the Jets and Dolphins 4 times, so they're at 4. Giants are in a division where they could go 1-5, 2-4, and you go like, hey, you know what? They did well. I think the Giants can have a good season. This is going to sound weird, but I think the Giants can have a good season winning 6 to 7 games, and it's a step forward in the right direction. I'm having a hard time with that schedule and the lack of playmakers they have, seeing the Giants at 8 to 9 wins. I think that's going to be the second year of Harbaugh, where they get more top-end talent, maybe in the draft, some free agency. I have a hard time thinking this Giants roster right now is an 8 to 9 win team.
I think that's totally fair.
Yep.
Okay. The board is yours, Matty Halt. Favorite over/under right now, NFL. What is it?
So I'll tell you one that I'm going to go with the negative take here. One that I'm not really fully understanding this year, and maybe I'm missing something on here, and you guys can tell me, is the one that I'm confused about is the Lions at 10.5. Because to me, the under seems like the obvious play there. I do not buy this idea that the Detroit Lions are suddenly back to NFC powerhouse status. I don't see what they have done to offset the idea that they could not block for Jared Goff last year. And we see that when Jared Goff is not blocked, he's not the same quarterback. They play in a tough division. They have the Bears, they have the Packers, they even have the Vikings. None of those teams by any means are pushovers. They lost David Montgomery. I'm not saying that's a big like thing, but a lot of their offense was being able to go with him and Gibbs. We don't know if Isaiah Pacheco can stay healthy. I'm just not seeing this Detroit Lions turning back the clock 2 years. They just lost Terry and Arnold. That's not the easiest thing to replace. I know he's maybe not the world's greatest corner, but still at this point, that's a loss. When you're playing in a division like that and you just had a year where they just did not have much go, they weren't able to, much did not go right for them. I'm just not seeing where this path where it's just like, oh yeah, everything's going to be right. So to me, I think that the Lions under 10.5, I think that's a safe bet.
Okay. Well, it's a weak schedule, and I think that a lot of people are pointing to that as well. A lot of strong opinions. Great to meet you. Thanks for a few minutes, and we'll catch up with you soon. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. All right. Well, JJ,
easy.
I'm with you, JJ, as I think that schedule's so easy. He made some valid.
I like Detroit.
Yeah.
I didn't jump in because we had to get rid of them. We had to say goodbye, hit the break. But Paul, you and I betting the line over this year. It's a last place schedule. I'm skeptical of the Green Bay Packers going into the year for a couple of different reasons. I'm not getting on board with the Kyler Murray business. And the Lions may have missed their window to win a championship. That said, I think them putting that win total at 10.5 kind of tells you all you need to know. That's my feeling.
Yeah. Look at that stretch in the middle, too, of how many games. Jets, Carolina, Arizona, Miami, Minnesota at home. The Atlanta, Tennessee, Minnesota Giants stretch. He made a great case, though, with the Giants.
NFC South. Do you like the NFC South? Yeah. Giant point was good. Giants could be a better team, and they're going under the total. Totally agree. That
was strong. Yep. We'll stick with the NFL up next. Some predictions and futures from JJ. Some incredible props I found, and I got to go after him for a guy that he was negative on yesterday. I think a player who has a big year coming up on Follow the Money. On this show, we follow the money, and when VSiN decided to launch our own store, the smart money was on Shopify. Getting the VSiN store off the ground was easier than we expected, and Shopify's templates and AI tools had us look incredible and professional from day one. Zero coding required. Shopify checkout keeps sales moving smoothly, and returning customers can complete a purchase in one click. Built-in analytics, you always know what's selling and where your customers are coming from and how to keep the momentum going. When questions come up, and they will, Shopify's AI assistant Sidekick is there with answers so you never lose momentum. You can check out the store at vsin.com/store. And if you're ready to build your own, all you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/vsin. Shopify.com/vsin. Again, that's shopify.com/vsin.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good catching up with Tim Murray now. VSiN Weekend Morning Line, also VSiN Primetime College Football Betting Podcast. Check out the latest edition. Some good stuff in there, as always. And follow him on X. He joins us on the Progressive guest line on vacation, enjoying the weather. Thanks for the time, my friend. So today in the SEC media poll, the media picked Oklahoma to finish 7th. But now you've had a couple guests on that think Oklahoma is going to do a lot better than that.
Yeah, Brett Ciancia, who has been a frequent guest of mine on the podcast and on the Saturday show, guys. He does Pick Six previews. He's very bullish on Oklahoma. He had them 6th in the nation. So not just 6th in the SEC, 6th in the country, which maybe is a bit aggressive, but, he does his homework, and that's where he ranks them. It's interesting, guys. I'm really curious about Oklahoma this year because a lot of production coming back defensively. And, it's funny because I think back to a year ago, and I think we could do this with a couple of different quarterbacks, where you look at John Mateer and the buzz surrounding John Mateer last year and coming in with his offensive coordinator from Washington State. And it was like, hey, he's going to hit it right away. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And there was a moment in time, guys, when John Mateer was down to 9-1 to win the Heisman a year ago after they beat Michigan. And then he deals with the hand injury and it all plays out. I actually am contemplating betting Mateer to win the Heisman this year. I haven't gotten there yet, but you have that early season game on the road in Ann Arbor that can really be a big time opportunity for him to make a statement there. And, second year in Arbuckle's system, a little more comfortable down there in Oklahoma, maybe not as much fanfare. It's funny because last year he was kind of the talk of the town, a lot of bettors intrigued by him. And now it's almost kind of out of sight, out of mind. So haven't bet it yet, but really have thought about maybe placing a bet. I think DraftKings as of last week was as high as 28-1 on Mateer. But yeah, Oklahoma certainly to me is an intriguing team this year to make the playoff. And, look, they did make the playoff last year, whether they should or shouldn't have, but they did make the playoff last year. And I think Mateer, there's a little bit of, overlooking him heading into this year, in my opinion. His odds, guys, last year were shorter at this time than they are this year, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. Who was your pick to win the SEC?
It's Georgia. And, it's similar, Paulie and JJ, is like, I look at this year, I think there's 7 teams. And now I didn't think Indiana was in that group last year. So, maybe last year was the outlier or maybe we'll see. But I think there's 7 teams that can win the title. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. You look at, I think Miami's capable of it, Indiana, Oregon. I think that's the 7 that I look at to win the national championship. And, if you look around different sports books, and we're going to show you the odds, I think, from DraftKings, FanDuel has it at plus 320 for Georgia to win it. And, with Gunnar Stockton coming back, I think they have one of the best defenses in college football. Frazier in that backfield. The big question to me is going to be the wide receivers. Who's going to emerge there? They brought in a transfer from Georgia Tech that I think has got some upside. So I look at Georgia this year, and if they can click with a couple of wide receivers, guys, I think Georgia has the potential. And then you look at the schedule. They don't play Texas. They don't play Texas A&M. They don't play LSU. And I look at, for the Georgia Bulldogs this year, getting back to Atlanta is certainly very manageable for them. The cocktail party this year due to renovations in Jacksonville is going to be in Atlanta, so there's a bit of a leg up there. They do have to go to Tuscaloosa, which will be certainly a challenge. They do have to play Ole Miss on the road. But I look at this Georgia team, guys, and I think they're being slept on a little bit. I think they are, I don't want to say clear-cut, but I think they should be around closer to 2-1 as opposed to 3-1. So at plus 320, I think it's definitely worth a play. And once again, if you're sitting with a plus 320 bet on a team in the SEC championship, it gives you the flexibility to do a whole bunch of stuff there in that SEC championship game.
Okay, Timmy, you're doing this college football podcast, so you're talking to 10 zillion experts over the better part of the last few months. Who is the general consensus of a team that most of these quote-unquote experts are completely out on for this particular year? There's got to be one where, like, you have these guys and gals on where it's like, yeah, they're out on this team, they're out on that team. Who is the team they keep coming back to?
Well, I think, JJ, on a smaller level, I wouldn't say they're out on Texas, but I think the people that I've talked to have them probably more in that 7-8 range as opposed to maybe top 4. So that would be maybe the smaller answer. I think the bigger answer is going to be Alabama. There's a lot of questions about Alabama. Now, I will say this, Phil Steele, who we all read his preview magazine, he has Alabama as his number one surprise team of college football this year. So that's the beauty of this time of year, differing opinions. But I think to answer your question, JJ, of the people that we've talked to the most over the summer, the consensus from a Power 4 standpoint of teams that, not necessarily buying on this one, would be Alabama. A lot of questions there, but it has been interesting. Talking to Matt Grill of DraftKings Sportsbook, he had Texas rated 7th in the nation coming into this year. So I think there's just some questions there. Texas, obviously, week 2, we'll find out what they're made of. Hosting Ohio State. You look at that schedule as it's up on the screen right now. I mean, you've got a road game at Tennessee, home to Oklahoma. So a lot of curiosity there. And I'll give you one more, JJ, that I think has been people are kind of saying, I get the hype, but not there. We had, friend of your show, friend of ours, the Bear, Chris Felica. He likes under 8.5 wins for LSU, and also Brad Powers, not all the way there on LSU as well. So I guess that could be a team that, as we get closer, right, as we're about a month away from kickoff, I think we'll start hearing more about LSU. And I think, week 1, they play Clemson. Clemson's a little bit down. How do they perform in that week 1 game? So it's 3 SEC teams, I guess, that I'm mentioning here. But LSU, another team that maybe from the sharper mindset is not necessarily getting the same love as maybe your general better would on a team like LSU with all the pomp and circumstance surrounding Lane Kiffin going down to Baton Rouge.
We had Paul Stone on, and he picked Navy. And JJ and Will Hill talked to Phil Steele, and he picked Navy to make the playoff. What do you think of a group of 6 team that make the playoff at some big prices, long odds?
Yeah, I'll start with Navy real quickly. I mean, this is a program that I've been fortunate enough to be around when I lived in Maryland. I was on their broadcast team for 3 years, and what you're always going to get from them. I was surprised, and there's a bunch of people that have been high on the mids this year. I mean, they lose their starting quarterback. They lose Eli Heidenreich, who goes to the NFL. They lose a defensive player to the NFL as well. So, the American this year is certainly very intriguing from, who's going to make it to the college football playoff. UTSA is a team that I think is intriguing. A lot of turnover in that conference when you look at who's left from a coaching standpoint. Looking at the Mountain West, I think New Mexico and UNLV, very appealing to me. New Mexico brings back a lot, brings back Eck for another year. His son will be their superstar on defense. Lane, their quarterback, is back. And then you look at UNLV. I mean, this is a program from the G6 standpoint, guys. We're going to find out a lot about UNLV right out of the chute here, because week 0, they play Memphis at home, short favorite there, and then they got to go on the road to the island and take on Hawaii. By Labor Day weekend, UNLV could be 2-0, sitting in a really good spot to potentially make a run. And they have I believe they host Cal in October, so they get an opportunity to host a Power 4 team at Allegiant Stadium. So, look, Dan Mullen, really good coach. Love what he's doing with UNLV. So I think that would be a team that I could potentially look at. I also think one other note here about the team to make the playoff from the G6 would be, if you are a believer in Boise State, why don't you wait until week 1 concludes? Because they play Oregon week 1. They're a 24-point underdog. If they were to lose that game, does that price get elevated a little bit more? So I think Boise State is the best team in the Pac-12 heading into this year. And I would say if you're looking to bet them, I would say wait and let them lose to Oregon, which they more than likely will do as a 24-point underdog, and then maybe you get a little bit of a discounted price there. But I think if I were to look at a bet for the G6, I would look at either UNLV, New Mexico, kind of determine who you think is better there, or Boise State after their week 1 game against Oregon.
All right. Excellent. Very good, my man. Thanks for coming on. Enjoy your time off. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Excellent. Tim Murray on the Progressive Guest Line.
I feel comfortable after looking at Tim Murray with that background. I mean, my goodness, I want to be in the forest doing the show. Paul, come on now. Next week, I could have given you the beach background, but I think my wife would divorce me and my mother would disown me if I said for the family vacation, I'm locked in for the next 4 hours, Monday to Friday. I don't think so. Wouldn't go so well.
Yeah, right. Locked in. Excellent. NFL preseason only a couple weeks away. Smart money's already moving lines. Lock in football special, just $175. Get it now before the price goes up next month. You get our NFL betting guide, the new Fantasy Life Fantasy Football Guide, over 425 player profiles, projections, and rankings to help you prep for your fantasy draft. Sign up now. Full VSiN Pro access across every sport through the Super Bowl, and the AI-powered prop projections and the real-time betting splits. VSiN.com/subscribe now. What we're betting coming up next in Pocket Straight Ahead.